There's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder, here with another review video of the Pioneer Challenger Decks 2022. I think this is going to turn into a rant video, and many of you might disagree with my assessment of these decks or this product in general, but I think that this has become a product that everyone asked for, yet nobody wants. And the sales data really shows that that is the case with all of these Pioneer decks that they've put out previously. And these decks this year seem to be just the same old strategy where they're incomplete decks where you really have to buy like 2 of these. I understand it's a way you can get into them and upgrade them, but you'll see with the Phoenix decks especially, it's just, if you're playing Phoenix, you need 4 of them to make the deck work. You don't need the 2. You need 4. That's how the deck works. So instead of putting these other things, maybe instead of even thinking the ices, they should have completely focused on the Arclight Phoenixes if there's going to be a Phoenix deck. If not, if there's going to be a thing in the ice deck, then maybe you could cut the Phoenixes and put a full place of those. And this video is going to be full of those type of rants, and I'm way ahead of myself with the kind of spoiler alert for these type of stuff. So we're going to look at these at a financial aspect. We're going to look at these as a playability aspect, a creativity aspect, and like I said, it's the product that everybody wanted, but nobody is buying. That has been Challenger decks since the 2018. I know that people, I did not like these. I was one of the only people in the community when Challenger decks came out that is like, it's just going to be, I mean, just how they did the event decks before, where if they really want to get this sort of thing going, they need to really, really promote Pioneer at a local level. And I would actually want more decks and less quantities of each of the cards. The problem with when they do this is they pick winners and losers with these type of decks, and these things, the contents in these end up getting absolutely crushed. And then oftentimes too, they include cards that aren't even seeing play in the Pioneer format. There's just like something better in that slot. Or the problem, especially with this one, is by the time they came out with these Pioneer decks, a lot of them aren't even viable anymore because the meta's changed so much. Or here we go with Phoenix, they have ban cards in them. So expressive iteration is included in here, and it's banned. So if you sit down event, you can actually play the Pioneer deck if you only include the exact list that's in here. Then you can actually play the expressive iterations. So again, I am not the biggest fan of this particular product. I get it, it's a way into the game, but I wish they'd market them a little bit differently. And again, do more complete style decks rather than these incomplete type decks. So I'm actually gonna open them up and I'll talk about what I'm talking about here. So we'll start off with the Phoenix deck here. This one does require you to buy 2 of them if you really want to play the deck, because the key cards in here are going to be the Phoenixes. You need as many Phoenixes in the graveyard as possible. That's the whole point of Phoenix, is to try to find as many as possible in the graveyard so you can have those explosive turns. Otherwise, it's kind of a weird deck. So this includes the thing in the ices. So right now, with as far as the price is concerned, all of these decks except for this one, I would suggest are good buys right now, especially if you get them at the patron price. So shout out to my Patreon. If you are a patron, these end up costing, I believe it's like $125 for a set, $250 for the box it comes in. So that puts it around like $31, $32 a deck. So there definitely is more than $32 worth of cards. If you are someone that wants to hustle, you can buy these Challenger decks, break them apart at that price, and sell them on a TCG Player and make a pretty profit. The problem is, everyone else is going to do that. So there are a lot of box openers out there. They're going to do the same thing that you're going to do. And there's going to be a lot of competition to sell these particular cards. So I'm thinking the vast majority of these cards are really, really going to go down in price. So first of all, this isn't Phoenix decks. If you just add up the entire value of the TCG market price of this deck, you're sitting around of $115. So even if you're playing full MSRP for these, which I think they're supposed to sell for $60, you're going to get $115 worth of cards for $60. If you actually do take out all the cards under like the $4 range, you only are left with $65. So there's going to be 2 Thing in the Ices worth $20, Arclight Phoenix worth $16, a Steam Vents worth $18, and 2 Sulfur Falls are worth $9. That's another problem with these Challenger decks. I get it. You're getting at least a Shockland, so it's better than what they do with Commander, which stick you a bunch of crappy tap lands and call it a Commander deck. Especially what really grinds my gears is when they do that with 2-color decks. They put in all these really crappy tap lands that no one wants in a 2-color deck for Commander, and you have to end up upgrading all of your mana base to actually make the deck playable. And this is going to be very similar. Again, these decks are going to be powerful right out the gate. I get it. It's a great intro product to the format, but it's just a product I think is too little too late at this point. with when they started doing these for standard. It just doesn't really hit a home of where they're marketing. Most people that are in Pioneer already have the cards. I don't know. You can see my other review videos I've done with Pioneer decks, and the thing is that when people disagree with me, I know I had a lot of hate for my original one. Okay, where's all the people buying these? How come you can still get the original Challenger decks at distributor price? How come the Challenger decks, the cards contained in them, oftentimes don't even see play in their formats, and then you just have a bunch of really dead cards? So what we're seeing with the last iterations of Pioneer decks is there are some cards that are contained in the deck that see play, but then they've gone and found these other like budget alternatives to throw in here that no one's playing. That's a problem with these hyper competitive formats, is people need specific cards, not like the the sloppy seconds. So anyway, this is going to have $65 worth of cards, so it's a good addition with the Thing in the Ice ×2, which is in here, which is definitely playable in the Phoenix deck. And then you have 2 Arclight Phoenixes, which the whole point of this deck is to get as many as possible. You get the Sulfur Falls. I guess all the expensive cards are right off here at the bat. Sulfur Falls again. But then here's this. This is a deck I think that tap lands. Maybe people are running like the Scry in here. But it's just a feel bad card with the Temple of Epiphany, especially when this cardboard costs the same as this cardboard to create. But Wizards looks at this and like, ooh, these are less expensive, so let's print them. Wizards, the reason why your temples are completely inexpensive is you print them in every Commander deck because they're inexpensive, and now you're printing them in every Pioneer deck, Challenger deck, every pre-constructed deck because they're inexpensive. Well, guess what? If you keep printing the same damn cards over and over and over in pre-constructed decks, they're never going to be able to accrue any value. You're never going to be able to find equity from these, and it just creates that feedback loop of oh well, I need to put these in here. I guess feedback was the wrong expression here, but it creates it from these cards from ever accruing any sort of value, and nobody wants them at this point. I mean, there's just so many existences. Might as well be an uncommon at this point for how many times they've printed temples in every Commander deck. So same thing, Chivalry's fine though. This is definitely a good addition, but it was just printed in Dominaria, so there's a lot of there's a lot of these out there now with the Chivalries. And of course, Wizards has to be super greedy with the Steam Vents, just including the one of Steam Vents in here. It is starting to go down in value anyway because of the reprinting in the Infinity. So decent little mana base, I would say, I guess. I guess this one's not the worst one here. At least these Challenger decks have a decent starting point. But the Temple of Epiphanies, man, at this point, it's getting insulting. I'd rather just put them basics in there and then maybe put something else if they're worried about so many rare slots, if that's the way they go. I mean, this is them acknowledging the secondary market without acknowledging the secondary market, because that's why they're skimping on other cards. I mean, again, I'd rather have another Thing in the Ice in here than 4 temples with basic lands. All right, so you have the Crackling Drake. It does see play every now and again. It's a pretty good card. It's typically... I thought this was more of a sideboard card than like the Phoenix one, because it's good versus decks that are good at like eating the graveyard, but this is just like a grindy value card that can actually, win the game in a couple hits. Is it Charms are fine, but then you really start getting into these bulky cards. Accessory Variation, like I said, have been banned. Charter Course are great. Lightning Axe are great. This is the problem, though, that these type of cards have been printed into the ground. We do have Considers, which this is funny. These were up to $2 a piece for Considers. There's buy lists that are actually paying pretty decent for them. But now I think these are going to be absolutely crushed with people, wanting those Phoenixes, because they're going to have to buy 2 of these. They're just going to put, extra Considers on the market. We got the Treasure Cruises in here, and Opt, Piece of Puzzle, and then basic lands. The sideboard is, pretty decent here with the sideboard options. They did not include Raining Volleys in this one, I don't think, though, which is definitely a sideboard card that goes in almost every sideboard. Got the good old Braids, the Lava Coils, the Mystical Disputes, which is good. These were getting up there again. So this will take the cost way down, and our sets way down as well with an Invasive Surgery. So all in all, the choices are pretty good for Izzet Phoenix. I actually do like this deck. It's a great starting point for new players. So the Izzet Phoenix is a competitive deck, and I think that this one out of all of them is definitely the best of the best. So I don't know why I'm starting off like worst. I guess we'll go best to least. The next one I like is going to be the Dimir Control. It's kind of fallen out of favor with this exact iteration with it, because there are a lot of like really good ramp decks and really good aggro decks right now, and Control is really struggling in the Pioneer scene. But it at least does give the option for people to play Control. And again, I wonder how it is to play these decks against each other, if they're like balanced to play against each other. I doubt that Wizards put that much thought process in them. I think they are more concerned about the secondary market of these cards, throwing together these like budget lists of putting, it looked like they put like $120 was their budget they could put in. So they 2x the value of what they're trying to sell these for. So say their budget is, you know, they want these MSRP for $60, then they're going to, you know, put 120 worth of value in here. So this sucker actually comes with tokens. Not a lot of shark tokens in, I guess this one had treasure tokens in the other package. I guess we'll look at the Phoenix treasure tokens you get in here too. Wish these things would actually like come with especially dice or something. So flip cards for Thing in the Ice. Was there that many? I mean, isn't there only 2 flip cards in there? Why do they give so many flip cards? Does anything even give treasure tokens in this? This is weird. Did I miss a treasure token in this Phoenix list? I don't see any treasure token that is created. Huh. Right? That came out of the Phoenix, I think. Yeah, I don't see anything that even makes treasure tokens, so I don't know why they gave flip. I mean, the flip cards, of course, for the Thing in the Ice is why they're, but treasures. Yeah, I don't see any treasures in there. All right, so this one, the Dimir Control, we got the good old Sharky Shark, and then the flip tokens 2, which I'm not sure. I mean, if there's anything in this particular list that shows it. So we'll get on to this one though. So Dimir Control is an actually interesting one too, because it does, this one actually does work with its like creature base, like Torrential Gearhulk. A lot of lists we're seeing, we're only running like 2 of them. So it's something you don't like absolutely have to upgrade, like the Phoenix deck. The Phoenix deck needs 4. You absolutely need 4 to make the deck playable. You can't play with 2. It needs to have the full play set, because that is the entire focal point of the deck. I mean, that's what your lightning axes are for, is to chuck your Phoenixes in the graveyard so you can then get the value back. It's just such, a lot of those cards, Taming like Chart of Course and stuff, it's just not nearly as good. You can make the argument with Crackling Drakes, yes it is, you can fill up your graveyard, but no, you want the Phoenix. Phoenix is the discard card. So if you're playing Crackling Drake, you'd probably want more cantrippy cards that don't necessarily discard. Alright, so we got the Torrential Gearhulk in here as a 2 of. Once again, Temple of Deceits, at least this is more justifiable in a control deck, because Scry is super important in like a Drago type style deck. You know, it's worth a lot more value than, you know, in an aggro deck. You never want to tap land in it. You never ever want to tap land in aggro. Then we have Drowned Catacombs, which are good. Gives 2 of them. We have the Watery Grave, which is great. And then we have a lot of cards that have been recently reprinted. The problem I'm having with this Pioneer deck and the Phoenix deck was actually a standard Challenger deck. So it's basically a reprint of another deck. So same thing with this Dimir Control. There was already a very similar deck created as this one. So a lot of the cards are then getting reprinted again, and it's sending a weird kind of signal to Magic the Gathering of certain cards, of like, why buy these cards if they're just going to get smashed into the ground with reprints. Dig Through Time has another reprinting here, but we do get a Shark Typhoon in here, which is a $10 card. So Dimir Control looks like it has $113 worth of TCG market price. If you take away the cards that are worth anything, are worth under like $3, you get about $62. With the Torrential Gearhulk being 10, the Fatal Pushes being worth 14 for a playset, Watergrave at 15, Drowned Catacomb at 13, and Shark Typhoon at 10. So you do get $62 worth of value. Again, if you get it at the patron price, definitely just a smash deal for it. Extinction Event here, Murderous Riders, Drown in the Locks with a 2 of. We got the Field of Ruin playset, Censor playset, some Sinister Sabotages. Is that what they run? I'm not even sure what they... I mean, it's actually pretty good. Surveil with Torrential Gearhulk. We do get the Fatal Push playset and a 1 of Mystical Dispute and more in our sets, because this is another thing I don't like. I don't like the overlapping. If you're going to have like cards in one of them, possibly, I don't know, possibly not put the same cards in the same decks, or I don't know, maybe there's not a better way to do it. Got the Heartless Axe, Negates, Considers again. So Considers, if you're looking to buy list your Considers, I'd get rid of them right now, because they are getting 8 printings in this deck. And then we have the good old Languish here. And more Mystical Disputes in the sideboard, Test of Talents, Cryocanarium, Gold Blanks. These are actually starting to get up there too. And some Cling to Dust and Duress. So all in all, this is a well done deck. I think this one actually plays the best out of the box. It's a lot easier to make these control, because you can justify 2 Torrential Gearhulks and 1 Shark Typhoon to be a win con. I think that's reasonable for a grindy Dimir Control. I would like to see something else like a Manland in here or something, some sort of other way to win the game besides just like Murderous Rider. I think that this deck's actually kind of awkward with how they're actually going to win it if you just take care of 3 threats here. So yeah, I'd have to see how the threats are actually being made in the Dimir. I know it's just it's a deck that struggles right now anyway. So still, all in all, that deck I think is done reasonably well for a deck you can play outside the box. Power level still the Phoenix. The Phoenix is the better one. Now we get into some very questionable decks. So here's the questionable decks. So this one's questionable on the playability of this because Gruul Stompy's gone a lot more low to the ground. And there's a lot of inclusions in here that are just kind of awkward to me. This one does have its value in it. So the Gruul Stompy does have cards that are, actual value that you could justify having price that are over, the $2-3 mark. It's got a Questing Beast, 2 of them, for $16. Chandra Torch of Defiance, which a little bit disappointing because this is the triple reprinting of Chandra Torch of Defiance. They had it in the Chandra Spellbook, that there's still plenty available. They had it in the last iteration of Challenger decks, which are still plenty available. So poor Chandra can never ever accrue value because Chandra is just being chucked in all of these pre-constructed decks. There is a Stomping Grounds and Rending Volleys in here, putting the price tag of cards that are actually worth money at $67. So again, you're getting in at 31, you're doubling up your money if you can flip them quickly. And again, we got some human tokens for, I'm not quite sure what the human tokens are for. Is there the one Thorn of Eldraine card that spits out the 1 human token? And yeah, man, these things are so crazy to open. As I struggle here with the ability to open up cardboard. I made a mess already. So, all right, this one, Questing Beasts, fine choice card. Then we got the Chandra Torch of Defiances. Again, the issue with now the Bone Crusher Giants is, okay, this guy's never going to have any room to grow because it's been reprinted in every supplemental set. Like every box deck has included 4 of these suckers. This card has fallen out a little bit of favor too in Pioneer because, like I said, Pioneer, the aggro decks, the Gruul decks have been going way more low to the ground lately, if I remember correctly. We have the Glorybringer. A lot of these cards, again, are just, this almost seems like a repeat of other Challenger decks. There's a Love Struck Beast times 4. The Ooze times 4. They gave 4 oozes in this sucker. This was at one point an expensive card because of its playability in Commander, as well as its playability in Modern. But the oozes right now, yeah, they're just kind of a bulky card now. Now, again, this is kind of awkward with the inclusions. We got the Carpulsion Forest is a 4 of. I mean, it's good for getting them into Dominaria for Standard, so just 1 Stomping Ground. And then they decided to go, instead of, I guess the fast lands aren't even legal right now still in Pioneer, are they? So they had to go with the kind of the slower Rockfall Veil, which is very awkward of an addition because, yeah, this deck definitely wants the fast lands to hit the Mystic and the Llanowar Elf on here. So it almost seems, is there another land that comes to play untapped? Because you don't want this. This tap land's super, super awkward with like you want green untapped for sure. And I guess that's why they went all in on the Carpulsion Forest. But, yeah, is there another land that does this better? I'm not thinking one. Maybe even the check lands would be better than like a Rockfall Veil at this point because it can come into play untapped on turn 2. But that would still be super, super awkward with these elves. So they get full playset of Llanowar and Elvish Visionaries. And then we just got the lands here. So as far as what they chose in the sideboard, Museum Mortars, I guess, decent, and Abrades. And, oh, this is still in the main. So you got Museum Mortars and Abrades, which is a double of the Abrades of the mix here. Again, I personally wish they'd use like other stuff in that slot, even though Abrade might be like the best in slot for red. They used it for Phoenix, so possibly, try to find another one that Pioneer does play and give this one a different option here. And like Abrade's kind of awkward if Challenger decks are getting played against Challenger decks because I haven't seen any artifacts that Abrade actually works against. So again, kind of weird. There's some very awkward choices. Cindervines, this is a good inclusion because it does work against the other decks. The Dimir and the Phoenix Cindervines, of course, would be good. Same thing with the Shifting Ceratops. Very good versus if they're like, okay, these were meant to play against each other and make like a kind of like a Pioneer battle box here. That's really good against the Dimir control. The Rending Volley, not bad. It takes care of the Phoenix, no, it doesn't take care of Phoenixes. Takes care of, actually, I don't know what it takes care of out of these because it's not going to work in Shark Typhoon or Torrential Gearhulk. So, kind of another, again, awkward inclusion here. Another Braid, and then we have the Flame Blessed Bolts as a 4 of in the sideboard here for the Gruul. So the Gruul is weird for me because it's like, this is like a dated deck. I don't think we see Gruul Stompy as much as we did. I might just be off with Pioneer. I haven't kept up in Pioneer the most, but the last time I checked, there still is a lot of the low to the ground, the mono green ramps. Those type of strategies are really dominating right now, rather than these like more of the go big Gruul, like Gruul Stompy in general. Just doesn't see as much. Again, this seems like this was like the deck. This seems like Pioneer 2 years ago, 3 years ago. When this one, I know they had to create these a while back, but it does include newer cards in them, and that's what's kind of the scratch your head type thing. Again, comment section, I might be completely wrong if I'm looking at the wrong meta for Pioneer, but that's what I saw with it. This is a deck though that does feel more complete, so it does have what you need as far as threats. Like you're going the Llanowar Elves into the Bone Crushers and the questing, like everything, like two questing beasts, 2 Chandras, good. This one actually seems like a very, very complete deck besides the mana base. Stomping Grounds are vital for this deck to function right, because you want that first turn elf into the second turn 3-drop. So you don't want tap lands ever in this deck to come out and kind of spoil that plan. But this one actually does seem better as far as Phoenix is. So if I were to rank it, it's way more playable and does have the value. Now this one's the questioning one, because this one actually does seem like it's the most playable out of the box as far as what you get, but the value just isn't there. So right now on TCG Market Price, you get about $95 worth of cards, but if you take out all the $2 and $3 cards, you're down to a whopping 27 bucks. So this is the one you're losing money on if you buy the box set. This is the one that is hard to recoup your money, because all it has in it that is worth any money is 2 Mutavaults and 1 Godless Shrine. And one of the problems with this too is these were all the land bases were all recently reprinted in the Pioneer Challenger deck of 2021, where they had the Ors of Aras. So it's getting the massive double print on the fast lands, I believe, are in here, as well as the Caves of Koilos that just had recent reprintings. And so they're basically worthless at the moment. Now, thinking on a financial standpoint, like investing in these long term, yes, they could go up in value if Wizards of the Coast could actually, hold back on stuff they're doing. What I'd like to see them do with Pioneer is definitely limit the amount of these. These should be an F&M like product that stores should be able to. In my opinion, I think that how they should actually sell these is to stores actually hosting events. I know that'd be a headache for Wizards of the Coast, but I think these should come with like promos and should be sold as like a Pioneer celebration. Like, okay, this week all of the stores are going to do a Pioneer store championship. So Wizards should just shoot it out there. I know they've gone the way of stores doing their own thing. Like, okay, if you're a WPN store, you choose what you want. You have commander players, but okay, then this product's just not for their store. I think this is how they should do this. Is some other games that I've played, they do package deals. So if you host a Pioneer event, that's how these should be sold. Now, people might disagree with me. Well, maybe these should be on the Amazon. Maybe they should be on the eBays and all the other online, because people, hey Kevin, there's kitchen table players that want to play Pioneer. Yeah, maybe, but I still think that this is the point where Wizards of the Coast really needs to focus on its local game stores, and I'd like to see regional, local tournaments and Wizards of the Coast doing everything possible to promote those. And so playing Pioneer should be focused on playing at your store and playing in these events. And that is where I'd like. I mean, people. It's not like people can't play Pioneer somewhere else, but I think that'd be a better way to release these products is in conjunction with like an event of Pioneer, and then I wouldn't be as gripey about this particular product. But what's happening, like I said, it ends up being a product that everyone asks for but nobody wants. And I will just keep reiterating that because the sales data shows it. You can still get Pioneer Challenger Decks 2021, no problem from distributors. You can still all the way get them back from like 2019, 2020, and they've just been rotting on distributor shelves. They haven't moved. This seems to be a product that's very, very weird that doesn't just sell itself. It needs events to sell the product. And this one, though, is very, very confusing as far as the value is concerned. And I don't know if recently these cards prices just got crushed, if it's still, residual of the last year's. We got our clue tokens here. And we'll start off with the sideboard with the Containment Priests, which a lot of people I think have started to go to Howled Moonlight over Containment Priest. That this one is Howled Moonlight is just a better answer than Containment Priest. I don't know. And this one there was humans though, so it does make sense to go that. It doesn't affect your own Thalia. And we got the Giant Killers and the Sun Gold Sentinels, Portable Holes. Good addition here. It does see a lot of play in Pioneer. The Revelries and the Duresses. Not bad, not bad. I also saw this imbalance. We have 2 red decks, 2 blue decks, but 2 black decks, but only 1 white deck. Womp womp. Poor white this time around. Didn't see. Oh man, these big ones are impossible for me to open. I'm so tempted to use the razor, but I don't want to cut some of these cards. Don't know if I'd mind about the humans one because there's no value, literally no value in this. Whopping 27 bucks of cards over $4 or more. A lot of cards around that $2.50 range though, but I don't think you could, like the ones right now I saw with Phoenix and Dimir Control, I think you can buy, if you get in on the patron price, you can actually buy list them for more than they're going for at the moment. But that should change because like I said, everyone else is going to follow suit and start doing that. Whenever there is the ability for cards to just be unpackaged out of the box set and buy list, people are going to do it. 2 more Giant Killers. We got the Rally in the Ranks. The Luminarch Aspirants. This is the problem with this card is it did hold a decent price tag, but this is just coming off a rotation of where the card is getting crushed just because it's rotated out of standard. So these are no longer worth anything, and this just makes them even more worthless. Cave, same thing. It had the Dominaria, plus it had the Challenger deck reprints in them. They give you a whopping playset. So here's a problem too. So some of the fast lands, this is the nonsensicalness of Wizard of the Coast. Some of the fast lands are worth more, and if they would have been in the Challenger deck, they would have given 1. Wizard would have been stingy. But when they looked at the price of Concealed Courtyard, Wizard of the Coast, in their all of their wisdom here, they saw these aren't worth much. So they include 4 of them. So now Concealed Courtyard is never going to be worth anything because now they just put 4 more in a deck because they're not worth anything. Again, it's just kind of like this tightrope walk of should cards be worth something? Should Wizard of the Coast let cards with demand actually accrue value, or should they just be like Yu-Gi-Oh and print or Pokemon and print everything that has competitive nature into the ground? Pokemon's in a weird state because luckily they have the collectability of Pokemon, but what they do in Pokemon is very similar to Challenger decks. If something does well, like Mew was doing good in Pokemon. Now they just created a battle box with Mew, and they threw everything you basically needed to build that deck. And so now no longer those cards chase cards out of packs because they want them for competitive play. So the only thing that it gets kind of hilarious with Pokemon is the things that actually end up having value actually don't see any play. But Pokemon has that going for it. It's got that massive collectability that Magic has more utility collectability. There aren't just like fanboys for a particular land like there is fanboys for Charizard. So anyway, let's go on to the one Godless Shrine they gave. And then we have the Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, which you can see is still in standard printing, which gives you a whopping 4. Kevin needs to learn how to keep cards on camera here. And then the same thing with the Thalia's Lieutenant. I'm trying to think of how did these get recent reprints in like a Commander deck too, because these are super, super cheap at the moment. And Bloodsoak Champion, this was in an event deck, so another card that's very, very rough to ever go up in value with Bloodsoaks. They give you 4 of them. The Mutavaults, which do hold value. Again, these have been reprinted recently as GP promos and other things, so they're not that special anymore. The Kitesail Freebooters got a reprint in one of like was it Baldur's that it was recently reprinted? Dauntless Bodyguards from Dominaria, and we got Direless Tactics. And actually these unclaimed territories were starting to actually recover, but now this is going to print them to the ground. And I was actually surprised that Secluded Courtyards were worth money out of Kamigawa, but it's not going to be worth money anymore with 4 of these suckers being chucked in with the Bloodchief's Thirsts and Thalia's Inspectors. Great popper card. And then we got the Plains here. So all in all, this one actually does seem the most playable out of the box because it is doing what you want to do. You're flooding it with early 1-drops. Then you're following it up with, Thalia's Lieutenants. Not sure what else is in the humans list at the moment, but this is quite similar. Your payoffs are there. It's not like the Phoenix deck where you need the 4 Phoenixes and they give you 2 of them. You need the 4 Luminarch Aspirants. They gave you the 4 Luminarch Aspirants there, so it's good to go. Same with the rallies. It gave you everything that this deck needs. And then where you actually upgrade this is just going to be the mana base and a few other cards here and there that actually do make sense in this. So again, this product is just kind of weird. It sits in this weird position of one of the whole points of Pioneer was rotated cards still having, playability. I know that people have missed out on these cards. This is a way to get into them. I mean, they're good deck lists. The product's good. And that's just the best way I can explain it. This is the product that everybody wanted that nobody is buying. And I guess if I was Wizard of the Coast, that's just sometimes the customer doesn't know best when it comes to products. And I don't know how they would save this product. The only way to do so without it being just like crushed, because the issue with Pioneer decks, all of them across the board, is by the time, I mean, the dust hasn't even settled, the paint hasn't even dried on these products yet. By the time they're not worth it to buy anymore, because you can just piece out the singles, or, oh, I don't want these, I don't need all of these cards. I'm building humans. I don't need all of these. I need these specific ones. Well, okay, it's just best just to buy those particular singles and then, take the temples and throw them in the trash. So it's just, this is an awkward card. I'd really like the Wizards of the Coast to actually, not how they could save this product, but my whole thing was to do some sort of celebration or event, really limit these, make them around that event, have them available only for that window of time. That way, there's more consumer confidence in them, as it is more of a limited print run product where it's not just like thrown into the ground. It really is that weird, like I said, tightrope. Do we want Pioneer accessible? Do we want to give people a way to get into this format where we can, because this doesn't seem like a product that Wizards probably makes the best margins on either. Maybe these Pioneer ones for sure, but the standard ones, these definitely seem like they're more expensive to print than some like a couple collectors packs per se. But I don't know how they'd fix them. I would be interested in your comments in the comment section below. What you think about Pioneer decks? Maybe I'm the one that is just so disconnected with what the community wants. I'm just trying to look at it from a player standpoint, from a store owner standpoint, as well as from like a financial standpoint in the long run, if these are worth it. And the market has shown that these products are not worth it to buy, as they do get crushed, and we've seen it time and time again. With each new iteration of these decks, the demand for them goes down and down and down. 2018, when Challenger decks were first printed, oh man, people were frothing at the mouth. They were like, oh my god, Wizards is finally listening to us. They gave us complete decks. And it's just been every year after that, there's been less and less people getting excited at. So maybe that's the thing too. Maybe, with Challenger decks 20, since it's not a rotating format, maybe they don't need to do it every year. Maybe it should be every 2 years when they print these suckers. But I just don't think that Wizards of the Coast can continue down this road of print, of trying to just every product for every single demographic needs to be represented every time, every year, every month. People are having wallet fatigue. One of the fun things too with Magic the Gathering, which I think these type of products like circumvent, is the collectability aspect of actually opening packs and finding the cards or trading for cards is a huge thrill. And when you step in and you take that aspect away from that, it becomes a living card game at that point. Where if you don't know the difference between CCG and LCG, is LCGs usually sell you everything you need. It's you don't open packs, so no randomization. You get what you want out of the new box set. So like Arkham Horror comes out or Marvel Champions come out, you don't have to collect the cards. Everything you need is in those cards. And I think that Wizards of the Coast too, if they kill that aspect of collectability, that takes away the kind of the thrill of a collection. I think that as much as people don't want to admit to themselves about Magic the Gathering, how it should be, accessibility. One of the thrills of Magic the Gathering is it is like buying lottery tickets. It's collecting. It's getting a trade binder and going to your store and trading with people. That is part of the fun. And Wizards of the Coast takes that away. It leads to just less sales overall. It leads to just less, and not just less sales, less fun, less enjoyment in the game as a whole. And one of the things too, maybe I should on my market video, is talk about the upgrades to these decks, because that's typically, these do affect the market for now people then wanting to, buy more of these cards to then upgrade their decks. So they'll start with this sucker and they're like, okay, I'm trying to think what humans needs. I can't think of anything humans needs. Thoughtseizes probably. So Thoughtseize can now go up because, this deck actually wants 4 Thoughtseizes, not 4 Duresses. In them, so that has the opportunity for them going up. All in all, though, I've rambled on and on. These products again are lukewarm for me. I love and hate them, but all in all, for the last time, I'm going to say this is the product that everybody begged for, everybody asked for, but no one buys. This has been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.